we jumped into the news a bit late. Got carried away. The big clock ain't working, so I lost the track of time. Um, the big clock need battery. The big Rolex on the wall need battery. See, they don't believe me. There's a Rolex on the wall, do you? There's a Rolex on the wall. You need battery. It need battery. Look at you looking up there. What are you looking up there for? It needs a battery. It's a doctor's surgery. If you're just tuning in, we're usually on between the hours of 8 and 11 on a Tuesday. We're normally a bit tardy in the morning. Do apologize. It's kind of difficult finding a little spot to push the car more time, but it is what it is. If you're listening on the FM, I hope you're listening on the FM. I realize that the FM sometimes goes down. I was told, and I hope you're listening on it right now. You can hear us loud and clear. 104.1 omegafmradio.co.uk, mixcloud.com/omega DJ, and on YouTube, the doctor's surgery. If you go on YouTube, you type the doctor's surgery, and then you choose, is it filter, the filter icon, and then you choose
Refine.
refine. So the refine icon, I keep calling it filter. You refine, and then you refine by channels, and we will always be the one at the top, TDS, the doctor's surgery, in black and white. Subscribe to us. It'll be good to get some subscribers going, so we can get our sponsorship level up, so we can get some sponsors. Um, if you want to take part in the show, the number is 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again, 0753 996 8143. One last time for the money, 0753 996 8143. If you want to text or call in, it'll be good to hear from you. What have we been talking about today? We've been talking about quite a bit of overlapping stuff, I guess. We've been talking about the Breonna Taylor settlement and setting that legal precedence in terms of it's the first um, settlement that I'm aware of where everything isn't wrapped up. They're still carrying on with criminal proceedings against the police officers involved. And there's still a federal case active and open. And we hope that that's pushed through and seen through to the end. We want to congratulate and thank everyone that's been a part of the process globally. Here in the UK, what does that mean? It means that the momentum here in the UK for Black Lives Matter is still carrying on. And as like I say, we understand and we are fully aware that the Black Lives Matter movement comes with a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? It comes with a lot of baggage. It's not the right word I'm looking for, but it's the best one I can find at short notice. It comes with a lot of baggage. It comes with a lot of compromising scenarios attached. In terms of like how the whole movement has been funded and the joint organizations with it and where the money goes for it in America. It comes with a lot of issues. And this is why we have to hijack aspects of the Black Lives Matter movement. One, this it being the one that's most popular in terms of black issues in the media. And Black Lives Matter was established to issue the injustices against black folks by the police. That's the aspect of it, but it seems to have taken over from the traditional black organizations that were out there at the grassroots levels making things happen. Yeah. So all those little things there are quite crucial in terms of like where we are. However, as it's got the momentum and it's recognizable as a brand, we move forward tentatively with the Black Lives Matter movement until they try to skew and distort the black information. You know. So what I'd like to say, the Black Lives Matter movement, they've highlighted, along with this measure, with the Breonna Taylor example, they've highlighted the awards issue, and so the awards council in Britain that gives out the OBEs, the CBEs, MBEs, what other BE is there? All the ones that ends with E's, where the E stands for empire. They've refining that word, the E, the letter E, to no longer meaning empire, which has strong racial undertones, but be looking to recoin, and rephrase as excellence. Black excellence, as they, sorry, not black excellence, with the excellence or merit of the of British excellence and stuff like that. So it's not or before it was empire. So it's more inclusive. So Mr. Zephaniah, was one of the first to actually refuse that link and so forth. The empire strongly denotes an attachment to slavery. Mumsy has explained that it was linked to the police killing of his brother and so forth. But in terms of the media outlets and what the media and general society pushes is that, and from I heard Mr. Zephaniah speak himself, it's strongly tied to the fact of the strong racial undertones that have taken place with the slavery, with the link to slavery and the term empire. It could not be something that he would accept. So henceforth, why that was refused in that principle. We had a caller. What was the caller saying?
It was in regards to sex education in primary schools, and he basically said it's not just a religious problem; it's also a cultural problem. And if you look at Africa and African teachings and literature, there's not a word for homosexuality until recent years, or in most cases recent years. But if you look back in the past, there's no word that defines homosexuality, and that's very much of a European sort of viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, very much so. I'm surprised the caller didn't go live with that. Huh?
I asked, but you didn't want to.
No, but what the caller said there was quite correct. The the issue isn't that I'm saying that young people can't learn about homosexuality. That's the, that's not the issue. The issue is they plan on being very graphic with young children as young as 5 years old around what they're going to be teaching. And remember, they're not going to be teaching only about. They're not just going to say, "Oh, a man and a woman and or a man and a," they're going to be quite graphic. They're going to go into quite graphic terms. You guys need to look it up. They're going to be quite explicit. The stuff that they planning on teaching 5-year-olds.
Okay, sorry.
It's akin to grooming, and this is one of the things that we need to highlight these things to say, no, you can't do that. Call you live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, good morning, Dr. Surgery. This is Ade calling from London.
Greetings, are they doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How's everybody here?
Everyone's doing their best.
I'm basically just calling just to agree with what the producer, the point the producer just made a few minutes ago. Because even in my own language, we don't have a word for homosexuality. It's not until recently that, slang has been invented for it. And the slang is so different to ask itself. There is no word that is as old as like maybe a word that we have for man, for woman, for boy, or for girl. Now, I also agree with you. Obviously, the world is a changing place, and there's a lot more things that have been happening, and people need to, know about. But at what age, should you be teaching certain things to children?
Exactly.
Because, when you were down in primary school, I mean, that's way too early for you to start learning about those kind of things.
I mean, in during my years in school, they started teaching sex ed in Jamaica, in my primary school, between the ages of 9 and 12 years old. It wasn't it wasn't extremely detailed, but it had enough information that made it quite comprehensive, and it didn't. Let's be fair, it didn't teach about homosexuality or LGBTQ lifestyle. It didn't. It taught about the basic rudimentary stuff, and it gave you a facts of they used to call it the facts of life. They gave you a facts of life book, and if you had any questions during that period of time, you could always get further information. So it came during the time of the period of time when young people start noticing changes on their body, and right. So some people started puberty early, some people started puberty a bit later, but it was around that point where it started to explain about getting hairs under your armpits and etc. 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 Now the issue with what they want to do, they want to teach 5-year-olds a fight. Do they know how? When you go into the psychology books and you research about the mental development of children, in no European psychology book does it say a child is going into deep sexual thinking at that age. At that age, the self gratification is bedwetting between birth and 5. It's bedwetting, and those are the things that they classify as self gratification. So we have to, just like how I asked the question last week to Boris Johnson, why the number 6? You have to ask the question, why would you choose to start teaching such graphic? And they're going to be it from the feedback and the information I've received. It's going to be quite graphic, teaching children about self gratification, boys with boys, and what they do together, girls with girls, what they do together to get. It's going to be quite detailed.
Exactly, and that well, it's this whole promotion of what do you call them again, transgender. So basically, from what I heard, in some schools, what they're doing now, every child that goes to find the opposite sex, they're allowed to go into the bathroom for them for sex, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So if a young boy thinks that inside of him is a woman, then he can go to the female girl's toilet to use that because that's what he identifies as.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be confusing.
For that age, it's going to be completely inappropriate. And the things that the graphicness and the graphic nature of what they plan on teaching, these are something what it's like it's like the state is saying the children is theirs and parents have no rights anymore. And the state can't say that, because if that's the state, it's not like the state is trying to groom people's kids.
I think it's programming.
No, I groom them, because they call it grooming. So we have to say it in the sense that makes it a criminal offense, because it is a criminal offense. They're trying to groom people's children. If grooming is when you impress on the mindset of a youngster growing up before the age of sexual consent, right? Now, this is what they're doing. They're planning on grooming your child, and for their own perverse outcome and rationale, because there's no other word for it. It is grooming. The government is planning on grooming your children, and it's simple as that. And people should say it as such when you put out petitions and there's legal challenges. It should state the law of grooming. So whatever MP, whichever MPs vote for these things and so forth, retrospectively and so forth, they should be liable for criminal prosecution, and the that prosecutorial process should any kind of adverse outcomes come of this, because it is grooming. So they need to.
I think that the way it's challenged, obviously, Muslims are doing it from a religious point of view. But I also do know that in a lot of African cultures and traditions, that even in the languages, there isn't any word for it. It's only until recently that slang has been invented for it. And I don't know any historical African literature that people mention anything about it. The first time I came across it was when I was reading the Bible.
No, I would say this, right? And let's be real, right? Homosexuality exists in every culture, and that's a fact, historically, and what I mean. But however, it wasn't. It wasn't in Europe. It became historically speaking, in Europe, it became a perversion. I mean, it became an obsession. In Africa, it was something that was subtle and not and not something that was overly pushed to the forefront. But no, people weren't penalized for it, because every society everywhere in Jamaica, you had little boys run up and down, and people say, "Oh, look a boy that move like him a girl," because you could, you know, what I'm saying.
Characters, but as far as like openly practiced, I honestly.
No, but that's the thing. It's not the sexuality in most of those cultures isn't something, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual sexuality. It wasn't something that was overt. It was always something that was restrained and refrained for the bedroom. Open, open, open affection and open sexuality. That's always been a European practice. It's Europe that wants to be, back if you go back to the early 90s, you wouldn't find really black couples walking down the street, and kissing up on them thing there. You might find a mixed heritage couple doing that, or a white couple, but it wasn't for us to show open affection in that sense. It's never been culturally like that for us. So the people that have become like that is because of Hollywood or because of TV, and societal norm being skewed. But that was a European premise. So even heterosexuality wasn't something that was like always pushed in your face. But they want to push everything into everyone's face now and say, "Oh, this," because they were the distorted, mentally challenged child in the corner. And I don't mean to say it in a rude way, but that's what it is. So they're trying to impress on everyone their disease. Not to say that homosexuality is a disease, but the perversion and obsession with it is. You see what I'm saying? Because every society had it, and no one was frowning and going and kicking up a stink. People were getting on with it. It's when it became something that people want to push in people's face. Just like if we, right, and that's where people started having a problem with it. If we look at the UAE, for example, open sexuality, whether heterosexual or homosexual, is frowned on. In most countries, that was the case. It was, you keep your privacy to your bedroom. No one cares. No one cares what you want to do in your bedroom or in the privacy of your own house. You know what I'm saying? No one cares. In Jamaica, no one cares what people want to do in their home at the privacy of. It's when you want to push it in front of people's children. And someone is, what I mean? People have the right to what their children are exposed to. And what in this sense is akin to pornography and grooming, because they're going to get quite explicit. Self-gratification. You want to teach a 5-year-old about self-gratification. You know what I'm saying? And not just heterosexual type of self-gratification. Every aspect of what they're going to start talking about, choking next and all them things. But the point I'm being real. Where do you draw the line? And when you look at there was an argument and a debate back in 2013 that was growing in momentum and impetus, that pedophilia is something that's natural in the mindset of those that suffer from it, that they have that love for children. You get what I'm saying? Where do you draw the line? Say again? No, it's not. Yes, what the point is? The point is that all that is going to take, because in certain countries, as don't quote me on it, I was told Greece. I read something briefly, and it said that there wasn't any laws, but you have to confirm that for yourself. But I'm just saying that in certain countries already that momentum is there. In this country, there was a momentum amongst white middle class professionals that were arguing for it, to say that people need to recognize that it was. No, I'm not going to call anyone nasty, and I'm not trying to knock anyone. I'm just saying, where do you draw the line? I'm just saying, if people want to be who they want to be, as long as they're not harmed, it's the harming of people that's the danger, right? So if they're not going to be harming children, they're not going to be harming themselves. People have the right to be who they want to be in the privacy of their own home. What I don't want is that you want to impress on my child what you're doing in your home. And that is what I disagree. I disagree. So I don't want to impress on your child what I do in my home. So why do you want to impress on?
Shouldn't it be be a mutually agreed upon this, that if a pedophile is saying that that's the way that they are, then how do you quantify that? And then also from a perspective of a child that doesn't have any concept of sexualization.
Yeah, you understand? Where do they draw the line? Because 20 years from now, that's probably going to be the next debate. Oh, should they be teaching children about that? And then the government part, we have to draw the line somewhere. You know, parents should be allowed to know the maturity level of their children. And for those that may not have the time to have that awareness or that education, as they like to say, that they can pass on to the children, then they can opt in to place their children in such a program within the national curriculum. But to try to make it a one size fits all, and whether you want it or not, your child has to go into, that's grooming. You know, you are trying to create an outcome for the young minds of the future. And you feel that if you get in there young enough, you can skew their mentality enough so that, and it's akin to sterilization. You know, it's akin to sterilization where where women were forcefully sterilized. Especially, we know black women suffered heavily from that. You know, so.
Let me let somebody else go in. But yeah, interesting topic. I mean, I personally am against that type of thing because children of that age, they're just children.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Live and let be live. You know what I'm saying? Live and let live. If someone wants to dress up in pink suit, if a man wants to dress up in pink suit and walk like, I don't care. But no, try to enforce it on someone else just because you feel that you want someone to accept you because you wave your head side to side. Somebody should, yo, better go on with your business. You get me? I don't care. Yo, yeah, all right. Yeah, man. Well. Yes, if you want to take part in the show, you might disagree with what I'm saying. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is religiously correct or unreligiously correct or atheistically correct or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? You might disagree. If you are of that persuasion and you want to come on the show and talk, you want to call in and talk and say why you feel it will be beneficiary, you have a platform that you can talk. As a black person, you know, every black voice matters, isn't it? So I'm not going to hold your voice down. I'm not going to belittle you. I'm just passionate about it. So I might sound as if I may, but I will not stop you from saying your piece and I will do so with due respect as I give everyone on this show. So if you don't agree with me, please call in and say why you don't agree with me. But I just think it's too young, age 5, to give such graphic information, and the information that is going to be shared is akin to grooming your child because it's being forced. You know, it's dangerous. You know, so it's like this again for me. In a sense, it's like the slave master determining what is the best thing for the slave and his children. That's how it comes across. Text message reads. The petition for change.org for the sex thought is in school still going around. I'll send it. So it's on change.org, signed a petition to the education department against sex education in school. And this is from Mumsy Action, sterilization for black men and women for years. Tap into naturalnews.com. Okay, so you guys, and it is akin to that because I can guarantee you the wealthy children won't be getting this information. You know, the wealthy people, they give they send their kids to private schools, so these schools aren't regulated by the government. So again, it's the poor that's going to be suffering from some form of sterilization programming. You know, so they're grooming your children to find themselves in a situation by the time they reach young adulthood, they'll be damaged, psychologically damaged, and engage in a lot of perversion. A lot of them. There's going to be a lot of, in the next 20 years, you think this is bad, in the next 20 years, you know, why this is going to be hell on earth with some of the deviant nature and thinking of a lot of these children if this goes ahead and you don't deprogram your child as best as possible so they're not damaged by this perversion. I know that. And the question you have to kind of ask is the teachers, are you really going to teach this? Because any teacher that's going to teach this, you can tell them persuasion and the way them. You get what I'm saying? Because if I was a teacher, probably that's why I'm not a teacher, because if I was a teacher, I wouldn't teach this. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? There will be consequences. I'll go in there and say, boy, that don't worry about that part. That's yeah, I'll teach. I'll admit everything. I'll edit everything because it's not right for children so young to be receiving that information. Imagine these children, and some of them that didn't go nursery, when they go to school at age 4, they're still nervous. Age 4, 5, 6, these children are still so in that stage of, and you have to protect them, yet them have to teach them perversion. Heterosexual information at that age is perversion. So any other information from this is still going to be perversion. So don't feel I'm just picking on one side of the fence. Any sexual content and information for children that young is perversion. It's grooming. It's too young. That's what I'm saying. Whether it's heterosexual or homosexual or whatever sexual, it's perversion. If the child is too young to understand, and you're going to bombard the child with a whole bag of perversion and expecting a better outcome. Man, I don't know what's wrong with these government people. It's like them nanny used to trouble them. You get me? That's a wonder. Trust me. Right. Yeah. Let me calm down a little bit. Let me give you the number in the meantime. Probably I should drink some water. The text message reads 0753. No, text message reads. The phone and text line is 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again. 0753 996 8143. One last time for the money. 0753 996 8143. We have room for a couple more calls, so we'd love to hear from you guys. So like I'm saying, just to quickly recap, the Breonna Taylor settlement sets excellent legal precedents, and anytime we're pushing for something, make sure that we push through until there's laws and legislation in place before we change the subject area and before we put it down, no matter how much the press tries to twist it, because they will keep trying to twist it as if they don't know the true message. So whenever someone says anything and the true message is hidden, then we come back and we highlight the true message. We become like police officers for the media, so that we keep the white audience in this country, the majority white audience in this country, understanding, and we don't generate what they call a race war. Respect to all the white people that will understand, respect to all the black people, and we are part of the struggle. And everybody else, the black one, they will sell out. Me know say not sell out.
Thank you.
The white one, they will not understand. We never ask nothing anyway. Yeah. Caller want to go live?
Mm-hmm.
Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
What I'm trying to say is that the Jewish Talmud, in the underage, if you read the Jewish Talmud and how a person at the age of 3, I like to have sexual intercourse.
Hold on. Don't go into anything extremely explicit, please. Because it's daytime radio nonetheless, and children might be listening. So we have to protect the children. Then, likewise. Pardon me? Oh, you weren't. Tell the producer, and then we can edit it, because I don't want to spoil it. Nobody pick me. You get me? That's not my job. You understand what I say? Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. So we have to take down information from me, please. Yeah, so that we can disseminate as best as possible. Yeah. We're not dealing on no kind of perversion around here now. We're not saying we are angel, but where something like that is just gone beyond our borders. You get me? Where do you draw the line? Well, I draw the line where I draw the line, and 5-year-old are some perversiveness, isn't it? I don't know where them people come from. Barbados is looking to remove the Queen as head of state. That's one of the other subject matters that we discussed. We wanted to say big up Barbados. You know, it's surprising Barbados has made this step, but I'm so pleased to hear that they're pushing to do so, and I hope they follow through and don't just do what Jamaica done 13 years back in just saying it and didn't follow through. Text message reads. We contributing to it with our tax money paid the world. We pay the World Health Organization. Signed that petition for UK and Europe to stop giving our tax paying then as USA doing, Mumsy. Yeah, man, we need to block the World Health Organization. Who, you know what I'm saying? And the depth of the term "who" is even funny. Why they chose the name WHO, the World Health Organization. We know they're going to say it's an acronym, WHO, but WHO, you know, that name there that is quite symbolic, WHO. And but that's another story for a different type of show. Yeah, let me turn off your mic because you look like you don't want to give the man information. So you can edit it, right? Go on.
I'm going to try.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try.
edit and pass it on.
Okay. It basically said.
So in the religious books,
Yep.
There's scripts denoting action towards
of pedophilia.
Of pedophilic nature. Yeah.
That's what he's basically saying. He's just saying that in regards to the schooling system, it kind of it's linking that in with the schooling system, the religious aspects. Kind of, because it's like the age is a lot younger than what they're trying to implement in schools. If that makes sense. So trying to filter.
so the religious books, even though they talk about things of a pedophilic nature, they're still not as bad as what the government is trying to do in the schools.
No, it's worse.
The religious books are worse.
Yeah.
Okay. But okay, all right. So let me not say but. So the religious books are things of a worse nature. So how do we link it into the current subject that's being discussed? So the punchline is.
No, he was just saying that the schools are teaching kids at 5 years old. And you're talking about pedophilia. He's saying within religious.
Let's separate that. The schools aren't going to be teaching about pedophilia. I need to say that, right? Because I don't want to be giving misinformation, right? Okay. Let me clarify that. The schools aren't going to be teaching about pedophilia. The schools are going to be teaching about LGBTQ as well as heterosexual information. However, the information is said to be very graphic, detailing self-gratification and all these things. I'm just saying, where do we draw the line? That's too young for children. And we have to also be mindful that you're impressing onto children without their parental consent all these things that go against cultural values and the way that this information is normally disseminated to children, so it doesn't harm their mentality and their psyche. Not every family out there is stupid and don't have the information required to teach their own child. Because this is one of the things that I even heard on the radio last week, that some family are poor and uneducated. So they're saying you're essentially, because you haven't got the money, you're stupid. So they have to make it a part of the national curriculum. Literally, this is what they said on the radio. You get what I'm saying? But they said it eloquently, so you didn't pick that up, maybe. You know what I'm saying? They use their little fancy words for calling people stupid. So what I'm saying is, it's akin to grooming. It's illegal. It's grooming. And the pedophilic part of the statement, I say, where do you draw the line? Because now that this is being accepted in society after how many years of pushing, using the black principles and saying, oh, black people this and it's the same punishment we're getting, and now they have legislation and laws that protects them. It's now being rolled out in the school that schools need to be taught about them. So in the same sense, now there's a momentum with people professionals, middle-class professionals arguing for pedophiles. So in the next 10, 20 years, it could also be that is then added to the mix. You know what I'm saying? I said, where do we draw the line? That's what I was saying. So it's not that the current information is going to be teaching that. However, the current information is going to be extremely graphic by the sound of things. From what I've read and what I've heard and the feedback I've seen, the information is said to be quite graphic, and we need to make sure that things of that graphic nature is given appropriately, if at all, if it's needed. People can look at their children. If you look at your child and you see your child a little, or he's got a friend that you can sit down and talk to your child and explain certain things. You teach your children in a certain way. But the government wants to take up the mantelpiece of delegating and dictating when your child should get it, and it's a one size fits all with them little perversion. So they're on this grooming thing hard. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's grooming. They're trying to create a mindset, and it's a way of reducing population size, because when they start teaching all these things, by the time your child reaches young adulthood, they're gonna be so messed up. You get me? Your son gonna come home and say, yeah, he had 6 boyfriends last week, and all them madness. There, you gonna go, what? What is there?
Why is everything always taken to the extremity?
Me have to say it like that because sometimes you have to look at the worst case scenario. Not that it's going to be the worst case scenario, but when you look at the worst case scenario, that's the worst case scenario. And also you can look at the best case scenario, but the best case scenario is that your child come out normal. But the proportion of children,
your child comes out balanced.
Never use the word normal, because me normal, so never say normal. Me not this nobody will answer them abnormal. I'm just saying normal to how I view it. How I view it. The normal to them is them, innit? Yeah. If everybody normal in their own right. But I'm talking about from my center. So everybody have to teach their children from their center. You get what I'm saying? And whatever they want to teach them. I'm not teaching my child to hate anyone. My children don't hate anyone. My children would understand any situation. However, I think 5 is too young. I'm not saying this information isn't necessarily to be taught. I'm saying 5 is too young. There's a difference. And you get what I'm saying?
Okay. The caller basically said it's been happening for a long time. And especially with like cases where adoption, where now you can adopt a child in the same sex sort of environment. So that's what he was
yeah,
expanding.
and so what I'm saying, imagine now why that's a whole different kind of words. You get me? But even then, a child that's adopted by a same-sex couple, if that child would have questions that they would have to teach a child as and when, innit? And that child would have questions themselves. Again, that's not the school's job, and usually couples that are in that situation are quite wealthy, and that child's going to a private school, so that child's not going to be a part of the academic process anyway. And I hear people love saying that there's children in there's same-sex couples, kids in schools, but is this applicable to private schools? Because as far as I know, it's within the schools that the schools that it's going to be forced on are schools that are within the remit of being, labeled as whatever. It's usually governmental schools, isn't it? Because they can't force the schools to teach it, but they can fail the schools. And a private school don't really care about those rating systems, or do they? I don't know. I would love to get some clarity on that. I might be chatting foolishness there, so let me not comment on that part of it. But the fact of the matter is, it's just still too young. Whether they want to teach it or teach it or not, it's too young. In my mind, it's just too young. And I can't think of a logical reason why they would teach it so young. And I know for those listening, my producer doesn't agree with everything I'm saying. If you think I'm here and she's in agreement with me, my producer don't quite agree with everything I'm saying. So and she hears her comment. The producer says she thinks it should be taught, but parents should have a measure of opting out. However, it's not. There's no measure of opting out. It's just being forced on. I think that not only should there be an opting out mechanism, but it should not be taught to such young children, and it shouldn't be taught in such planned graphic detail. It's too much, It should be what takes. It's just too much, It just sounds like grooming, and that's what it should be labeled as. And all those MPs that are involved in that should be brought up on criminal charges should it go wrong. That's how I see it.
Can I bring that the point?
Go ahead.
He basically called up and just said that an example would be Elton John and his husband, who's adopted children. He's just saying that society is heavily leaning in that direction. So it's from all angles, where it's not just education; it's society as a whole.
You see, I can't comment on that because that's an argument for another day. We ain't got enough time for me to explain myself accurately, you know. You know what I mean? They say whoever look after the child is the child's parent, or whoever shows that child that love and nurturing is that child's parent. You know, so but you know, I ain't got nothing against Elton John, so I ain't going to comment against Elton John and his husband. But Australia were getting divorced, weren't they? Didn't I hear something about them getting divorced? I don't know. I might have been wrong, innit? I don't really follow Elton John. Not being rude, Elton, if you're listening. Grand Rising King and Queen, good show until we realize the government is not your friend. The law is not there to protect you. Also, it's very hard to find justice in a world where criminals make the rules. We live in a world run by sinners. Sin is praised and righteousness is hated. Respect, DJ Blake. Big up yourself, DJ Blake. You know what I'm saying? But like again, I say, you know, we have to kind of be delicate and mindful of using the religious terms of these arguments, because it's a way of getting rid of, if you love your religion, I'm not religious, so I'm just giving the religious people a little insight. It's a way to do away with religion. And that's, if you notice, religion is slowly being eroded, and it will be done away with. So be mindful of that. We have to find empirical research data that backs our arguments, because that's how this society works. Whenever you're debating with the devil, you have to know how to use the devil's very own tools to beat him on his head, let him run. So when we use the empirical data, so we can turn around and simply say, according to this research and that research on child development, this age is inappropriate for these factors, and we present strong arguments. Should these empirical research information be ignored, then it's easy then to take the government to court and sue the government for a whole lot of money for damage and retribution. Call you live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Greetings, Doctor.
How you doing?
Yeah, Rasu Harlan.
Big up, Rasu. Good to hear from you, man.
All right, easy. A couple of things, but basically, I was going on to one of your opening gambits in the program pertaining to the Commonwealth and the Queen of Barbados. Yeah, you see, I'm tying back that over to the years, and I think the Prime Minister of Barbados is a lady, isn't it? And she said I think she wanted to remove the Queen by the 55th, anniversary of independence.
Okay.
Right. My point is, and this is one I've never heard anyone follow through. If you recall, going back to Jamaica, which we're more associated with, if you recall, Patterson at the time, I think he won pre-election under the Jamaican National Party. And each time he was coming up to election, I'm still on point. You know what I mean? That was a thing that he brought up into his election campaign, a lot removing the Queen. And of course, he garnered a lot of support at the base. But the minute he got into power, it dies a death. And I've never heard anyone under the opposition or whatever followed through. How come this thing has never manifested itself?
I know you mean. Yeah. So it's like an empty campaign promise.
Precisely. Because even when I think he won pre-election, and the third one he stepped down and he gave it over to Portia, and she came up with the same thing as well, and nothing has never manifested itself under those issues.
Yeah, I know Portia. I know Portia was harping on about it back in the late 2000s.
Yeah, that was a continuation from Patterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder nothing has become of it. And if you notice, all this ties into the thing that you're speaking pertaining to Mumsy, but pertaining to, even we call it the Black Devil Angel and the White Business Angel, the award.
Yeah.
And so on. And I'm thinking, with something like Jamaica, a country like Jamaica, for example, who you got Cameron going, you wanted to build prison, you got this where you need to, where you now need to get a visa if you come from Jamaica to come here, whatever. And the question I'm asking myself, if you're a member of this group and Britain be the head of it, why is it that a country like Jamaica, for example, is gaining from being a member of this Commonwealth? Is there something that we do not know about?
You have to remember, right, that when each country got their independence, the country was left in the hands of the children of the slave master, for lack of a better word. And these countries have continuously been run by those children of the slave master, right? Now, once we see that, and their circles, and the inner circle of friends, once we see that, then the country is not truly independent, and you have to understand why the deep ties are still there, because of links that aren't highlighted along the way, about in terms of family relationships and processes and how people stay wealthy and where they get their money from. So it's a difficult process to say that will happen. The fact that Barbados has announced it, I'm just hoping they follow through. And if you notice, I'm saying we support you. If you follow through, we will support you. But whether that's going to manifest, that's another story. Because as you said, I remember 1987, 1988 or thereabouts, there was a massive debate in Jamaica about Jamaica becoming a state of the United States. So pushing to get rid of the monarchy, that's the first time I heard about it, and then becoming a state of the United States. So it would have been, is it the 52nd state or one of those states anyway? Or it might have gotten a status similar to Puerto Rico. You can't vote in you can't vote in U.S. elections, but you're under the U.S. Government and you have the U.S. currency and so forth. I remember that debate, and a lot of this is just like pre-political jargon and talk to achieve a certain aim and outcome in election, but it's not followed through.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I'm listening to you very attentively. But you said my question that I'm asking myself, in fact, it maybe will be a rhetorical question. Why is it that people still bind to it, whatever the case is?
The family ties by those in the political elite. The family ties.
Okay, but that still me back to the question I'm trying to say. With somebody like Patterson, example, who push it so heavily, whatever the case, and given the fact that you are now in charge of the family standard sense, really, why is it always there? My question is there some secret code in being a member of this thing that stops us from actually making a move? Be it a World Bank, IMF, or whatever that they're holding us to something, or whatever the case is. Because I guarantee if you take a campaign about most of the African Caribbean country, most of them would probably want to break away.
I mean, yes, most of them would want to break away, but like I'm saying, the people, you notice how PJ got so much momentum from that, right? So the people are happy for that, but it's an election promise that they didn't ever plan on fulfilling. It's just an empty promise to know, because they know that they have the momentum in that country to get the people behind it, but not really to follow through on it. And so it's just until if we can wipe away all the old school political proponents in those countries and put in truly respected due officials that are from the ground up, from the people up, that's only then will you see a shift in a lot of those policies and a follow through. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but I wait to see, because no one's cutting their family ties, because a lot of these Baroness this and Baroness that in Jamaica, they still kiss up to the aristocratic people in the UK. But on that note, I only got like 50 seconds left, so I'm going to have to wrap up.
All right, no, that leaves me to kill my second question.
Fire quick.
No, our briefly. This ties in along with the line with the same
Quicker than that. Quicker than that.
Another time.
Yeah, man. All right. Yeah. All right.
Respect.
All right. Always. Yes, it's been the doctor's surgery this week. Thank you for everyone that called in today and took part in the show. It's good to hear everyone's voice coming back into the show. Remember, it's every Tuesday from 8 until 11. We bring you Britain's current affairs, Britain's first Black current affairs show. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, I'm not going to be late for the news this time around. Take care and give care. And until next week, look after yourself.